Okay, for today's webinar, we're going to go to part two, where last section we talked about how we make power or energy. And we need this energy constantly to function. We concluded the webinar last week with the understanding that 90% of our brain's energy comes from oxygen. Today, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk some about how we manage the electricity. So I'm making this electricity, and I have to be able to use it in a way that I don't just constantly go in a high use mode, but that I conserve it in ways so that I can use low volumes at certain points, kind of an optimal speed, and then high volumes at certain points. And so the way that we do that is with something called our autonomic nervous system. So let's go back to the presentation that we were looking at earlier. And the autonomic nervous system is this very intricate system that's a subset of my overall nervous system. That's this software that's constantly analyzing what's going on in the environment, and it's deciding what I need at any given moment in time. And so what the autonomic nervous system is doing is it's looking at the environment, and based on input from my five senses. So we're taking those five senses, and it's giving me information about the environment. And based on that input, the autonomic nervous system then decides, do I need to use a lot of electrical current, a little bit of electrical current, or kind of a perfect balance of the two. The technical word for when the autonomic nervous system goes super, super fast, or the scientific word, is sympathetic, a sympathetic response. When we're looking at heart rate variability, when we're looking at all different systems in the body, they each have a sympathetic response when they're going too fast. On the flip side, the autonomic nervous system can go really, really slow, which is referred to parasympathetic. For many people, rather than using those words, they refer to when the system is going fast as a fight, flight, or fright state, or when the system is going really, really slow as rest, digest, and renew. And so when we think of these extremes, we have to realize that the autonomic nervous system is constantly going between the fast and the slow state, with hopefully homeostasis or a balance in the middle. So in looking at this, we can start to maybe look at different things in our life. So let's say all of a sudden I'm in a movie theater and the fire alarm goes off. Well, my auditory input, okay, is going to say that's a problem. And what do you think my autonomic nervous system is going to do? Well, hopefully it will go really, really fast and activate the rest of my body to now go into a go status, where I can start to be full system alert and I can get out of the building quickly. Okay, so there are situations where we definitely need the autonomic nervous system to interpret the environment in such a way that I would go really, really fast. Let's think of a situation where I would want to go really, really slow. So let's say I've been working all day long, it's in the evening, I'm winding down, and it's time to go to bed. And so I'm lying in bed, and my senses are picking up no light, no sound. I'm comfortable, my sense of touch, everything feels good in my bed. And what should my autonomic nervous system do? It should go slow as a way to go into this rest, digest, and renew state. Now, in understanding that we would like the nervous system to be doing this and be congruent with the environment, but many times we can get out of balance where the system starts to run too fast or too slow, even though the environment's not demanding that. And in a human, what primarily causes that is the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is my ability to kind of think into the future, think about the past, and be present all within a few seconds. And what we can do many times is we can create scenarios in our brain, which we refer to as anticipatory stress, where we worry about things to a point that it overrides my sensory input and it drives me into a sympathetic state. And that's when we create problems in our emotions and our overall physical reactions to things, that we act as if we're in crisis when really we're not. And then when we're in the state, it's very hard to find a state of recovery. And in athletes, this is super, super important, is that they can come out of these stress states or not even get into them. They can stay more balanced so that when it's time to recover, they can drop into parasympathetic. See, recovery isn't just a ice bath or a recovery drink. It's literally a neurological or nervous system process where we can drop into this slow state and recover. As we finish up, let's address two things here. One is everything that we deal with really comes from this nervous system being out of balance. So when we think of things that are fast state, when the nervous system gets stuck in the state, some of the things psychologically, emotionally, and physiologically that we experience come from us residing in this fast state too long. Good example is anxiety. That makes sense. Post-traumatic stress. Yes. Even things like high blood pressure. And a very significant one is the inability to get the right kind of sleep at night. Because what is sleep? Sleep is a slow state where the system needs to slow down, but we're stuck up in a fast state and we're in a sympathetic response. On the flip side, there can be times when our nervous system starts going too slow, and that's a parasympathetic state. Many times when people are depressed, or they're having energy issues or adrenal fatigue, fibromyalgia, these different energy-based things where the system is kind of like the wheels are just stuck and we can't move forward. We don't have the energy in the morning that we need. What is that? That's an indication that the parasympathetic is overriding the rest of the nervous system. So when we look at the different things we experience behaviorally, emotionally, physiologically, if we look along this continuum, we can typically see that it's going to start with this nervous system getting out of balance. And there are times that we might experience both of these. So let's say I get really, really, really anxious and I'm going super, super fast. Well, then what happens is my system will then swing over a period of time and get into this stuck, depressed, fatigue state where we kind of have this pendulum swinging instead of right in the middle. Let's finish with this. Not only are these different things that we experience coming from these states being out of balance, but many times the medicines we take really aren't very sophisticated. What they're doing is they're just moving the nervous system. So let's say I'm stuck in sympathetic and I'm going really fast at night and I can't sleep. This goes on day in and day out, and then eventually I go to my doctor's office and they give me a chemical, which is a ligand-gated change, a chemical reaction that causes me to drop into parasympathetic. And that might be an Ambien, a Lunesta, some type of slow sedative chemical that's going to push my nervous system down here. And now I go into the state that I kind of think is sleeping, but it's really more sedation, okay? Sometimes if my brain's not getting in gear, I'm not getting activated enough, I might take some things like an amphetamine or a stimulant to speed the brain up. And yes, that does improve focus, just like when I'm under stress, I can become focused, but it's not really fixing the problem. And so what we want to do is be able to find the balance between the two and not just be doing it through moving it through chemical reactions. Because the bigger issue is why you can't sleep at night. That what's under the surface of that, not can I chemically alter that? Can I teach the brain to sleep? Yes, and that's what we want to do over time. Okay, so as we think about this whole management of energy, it does bring to the surface, where do these different things that we experience that we might perceive as negative come from? And it comes from when the management gets out of balance. Okay, so next time we meet, we're going to talk a little bit about how the autonomic nervous system then impacts all the other systems in our body, and especially our adrenal system, how that gets impacted by the nervous system going in one direction or another. I think you're going to find that discussion very interesting, and look forward to more of these meetings down the road. Have a great day.